All right. Hey everyone, this is Meghna from Teen Chapter. So today we've started a new podcast series and we have our first guest, Vasundhara. She's building a very cool app and I'm super interested to know more about it. So without any further ado, let's start with it. Hi Vasundhara, how are you doing today?
Hi, I'm good. How are
I'm
you?
doing great. Thank you so much. So I would love to know what you're building and a bit about your story and why you're building what you're building.
In one line, what we're trying to build is an app for couples to give them a fun way of feeling more connected and closer with each other. The reason why we wanted to sort of build this particular app is we felt there are a lot of apps in the market to meet people, like you have Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, but there's nothing what comes after that.
Right.
And we've seen that long distance relationships are on the rise because people are moving a lot for work, education, etc. And usually maintaining those relationships or feeling connected with someone once that initial spark is gone sometimes gets difficult for people. So what we did was we spoke to a lot of people who are in relationships, who are in long distance relationships, and try to understand what are problem areas for them, what are things that they would want, some sort of solution for, what kind of solution they'd like. And based on all of that, we thought having an app like this could be really interesting and really fun.
Awesome, awesome. Um, and let's dive a bit into your personal history or your personal background. So, where did you study, and what was your childhood like, and how did entrepreneurship come into picture in your journey?
So I had no plans of being an entrepreneur or doing a business, like nothing of that sort. I actually did law, and I always wanted to work in research, public policy. So that's sort of the kind of internships and the work that I did after law school. What I felt was that I always really was interested in social psychology, about why people behave the way they behave, how does environment affect our behavior, how we can change it to maybe adopt things that are good for us, or make habits easier to be like formed. So, which is why I sort of did the Young India Fellowship in Ashoka, and then I converted it into a master's degree with the Department of Psychology. So that's sort of what I studied, and then I worked in a forest for six
Okay.
months as a social scientist.
Okay.
So I was always interested in the research side of things, but what I realized was that I don't like specialist kind of roles. Like I like to do a lot of things. I like to have total ownership of what I'm building, and jobs just weren't cutting it in that sense. And also, just like one practical reason was that for the kind of jobs I did like the research kind, you would hit a ceiling very fast in India, which is where I want to sort of settle. I don't want to move abroad. So also, like for those reasons, I did think that I would want to sort of look at other things, and that's where I started off organically building something of my own, and which is where I found out about Build3, which is an accelerator program. And I sort of the journey just happened from there.
Okay. Awesome. So, so what is the app name? Whatever you're building, what did you name it?
So we call it
Okay,
Togethrly.
awesome. And how was your Build 3 journey? I think the first time I saw your story was on Build 3's LinkedIn page, and I was super excited to talk to you. So, how did Build 3 help you with your entire process? And what are you currently doing now? Or is Build 3 helping you out in your, say, post accelerator or post fellowship journey?
Yeah, so I mean, I loved my entire experience in the accelerator. It was just amazing. Build3 is this very like amazing space for founders and people who are interested in startups. They have a co-working kind of space in Goa, and they have a lot of mentors on board. They have good connections with people in the startup world, and they're very hands-on in terms of if you want advice, they'll be there. If you want connections, they'll help you with that. I love the accelerator because like I told you, I never had any plans of being an entrepreneur. So I never had that community of people around me who are building their own thing. Like my friends are like researchers or like lawyers. So this is a completely different space for me. And what I loved was that I thought of the idea here. I got a lot of feedback from people here, and that sort of helped me a lot in deciding what way I want to sort of grow, what are the kind of people I want on my team. So that way, it was great for me. In terms of post accelerator support, since I decided to build out of Goa for a while, because since our topic is about couples, Goa is a good place to kind of build it. So now trying to get into events
Okay.
where we get couples together, try to have them do a new experience together, talk about our app, try out some features in person. So I think Goa is an ideal kind of place to do things like that. Different other cities would be like a little difficult. So Military has been great. Like they've been really supportive throughout. Like I still work out of their space, and yeah, it's been like quite good for me.
Awesome, awesome. There were a couple of interesting points that you mentioned. So, first thing was you said a lot of your friends were researchers and lawyers right now. So, how was it convincing your family or people around you to take the leap of getting into entrepreneurship or to be a founder? So, how was that process like?
Actually, that was really easy,
Okay.
surprisingly. My family is a business family. Like, my dad has his own business, my sister has her own business. I just was never interested in it as a child. So once I started doing this, they were more than happy to,
Okay.
kind of support it
Hmm.
because they understood this a lot more than they understand the job, the research side of things.
Right.
But when I told them about my app, they're like, we don't understand what this is. So, but yeah, otherwise it was not that difficult.
Okay, okay. Interesting. And you said you were also meeting a lot of people now in the events and trying to build new features. So, how was it like, or how was run us through day one of building Togetherly? So, what kind of features were you planning to introduce, and what kind of platform did you want to create, and how was it? How is it right now from day one to now?
So, relationships is the kind of space that everybody has an opinion. Like, and if you want to think of features, like you can think of like 5 features on the go,
Hmm.
right? Like that you would love to do with your partner. So that's what it happened with us also. Like, I had a long list of things that we could do in the app. Now the question was, do people actually want to use it? Because some features in this space can be counterproductive. There are some features that people just don't want. So we needed to like find a balance of what works for the Indian audience and what would be those one or two features to sort of try out in the prototype because we don't want to start with like 15 things. Like it would be very difficult for someone to sort of open a new app and see 15 features just popping up. So we wanted to start with very minimal, like 2, 3 features, but like features that are good. So what we did was we made a list of everything we thought we could potentially do. We looked at a lot of different spaces, like there's a relationship therapy, there's a relationship coaching, there's just like fun things that you do with your partner that's nothing to do with problem solving. So these were like these three broad areas, and we talked to people about it. I spoke to relationship counselors also, and the feedback that I got was, the therapy space is very niche. Like people sort of go for it when the thing has become very problematic, when there's already a high conflict situation. It's not a very easy space to crack in India right
Right.
now. So we kind of dropped the relationship therapy, relationship coaching space at all. And we were like, we're going to be something that is fun. We're not solving a problem. Like your relationship has no problem. We're just enabling you to feel a little bit closer with your partner, do like more fun things together. Like that is sort of how we approach the whole thing.
Okay, okay. And do you have your app out right now, or what is the process like now?
So we're right now building the tech. We have like about 100 couples
Hmm.
sign-ups for beta testing. Hopefully that should start in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay,
Uh, let's see.
okay. All the best. And So do you have any co-founder or your team, or is your entire team based out of Goa? How is it like? And if you have a co-founder, then how are the responsibilities divided between you guys?
So we're just two
Hmm.
people. One person's building out the tech for us right now. Uh, he's not currently full time, like he's doing it half time, but he's really good. He's very experienced with tech and very positive about what we're building, which I think is a very important quality to have
Hmm.
in anyone that's in your team. So right now we only are two people who are working on this like properly. Apart from that, for small things, we outsource it to freelancers. Like for instance, like building the Figma prototypes.
Right.
So for some part of it, we outsourced it to freelancers. Then we have some people who are working with us on the experiences side of things. We help lead the experiences and we collaborate with them.
Hmm.
So we are now planning to grow the team a little bit, looking at people to join in for operations primarily. But we plan to keep it a very small team and try to outsource for like specific roles as much as possible, at least for the first 6 to 8 months.
Got it. Got it. Interesting. And were there any challenges specifically to building the app or to convincing people to share what they want to see in the platform? So, were there any challenges that you faced from the ideation process till now?
I think so. This is the kind of app where people have strong opinions.
Hmm.
Either they like it a lot or they don't like it at all, and they just like why,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? So you do get that kind of feedback a lot from people. So sometimes it can get like, okay, but is it worth pursuing this? So that was a challenge. But what kept us going was the positive feedback that we were getting from people, especially the younger sort of age group, and the knowledge that see, at the end of the day, relationships are really important, and not just romantic relationships, like those 7 to 10 people, whoever they are for you, either your friends, family, or your partner. Those are the relationships that make up your entire life. And if you don't have an app that's catering to that relationship, then that feels like a problem.
Hmm.
So we are like first, like just based on first principles, we thought the problem is there. There needs to be some solution. So that just kept us going.
Okay. Okay. And you said previously you mentioned that you were going for events and talking to people for feedback or to ask for features. So, what other strategies are you employing to collect feedback from the users, and how are you again employing them in building a good app?
Yeah, so we try to do like a couple of things. So the first thing is in-depth user interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I try to reach out to people on WhatsApp groups, like the most random WhatsApp groups, to keep the sample a little
Yeah.
bit like randomized, and not just reach out to people in my college or my immediate community.
Hmm.
Then we tend to have like a 30-minute to 40-minute long conversation with them, like understand their relationship, what are their behavior patterns, what are rituals that they like doing with their partner, what are some things that they think are issues that come in, and then we ask them about our features, like what is their instinctive reaction to this, is it something that they would use, and we try not to focus too much on their reaction but get a sense of, is there an initial curiosity to like try this, or is it like a very negative reaction to something like this. So based on that, we sort of try to understand what features would make sense. Other than that, like we keep asking people, like, what would you like for an app like this to have? And sometimes they have very insightful ideas. So I was talking to a friend of mine. She works at Delphi, and she told me one thing that she would like is, maybe some guidance in terms of how to do something. So just don't tell me, I should spend time with my partner. Okay, but like give me some like things that you can do, or some things to talk about. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like we should have that. So that's how we try to like build it.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And what was the most memorable feedback or hard hitting feedback until now?
Actually, the most memorable was so I built through uni like a lot of mentors come. So Sahil, the CEO of Delivery,
Mm-hmm.
had come, and we told him that what we are building, and he gave a very good positive reaction to the
Okay.
app. And he's like, okay, that's definitely a problem, and that is one app or a solution that I had not
Mm-hmm.
thought of. So that felt like a good validation of what we are building. So I think that was, I think, the most memorable so far.
Okay. Okay. And how does your entire business model work, and how are you planning to generate revenue from this app going forward?
Yeah, so for the first year and a half, we're planning to do a lot more physical events and products on the site. So, like by products, I mean like conversation cards for the couple, maybe like a journal in the future designed especially for couples. And by events, like the event where couples can come, shared experience together and things like that. And simultaneously we'll try to grow the user base of our app, like reach a particular threshold where we can start charging or like a premium type of subscription where maybe some features are like paid or like a one-time use and add revenue potentially. So those are the three main things that we thought.
Okay, got it. And you will be starting everything out of Goa in the next couple of weeks.
So, Goa is great for physical events because it's a great city to do those kind of events. People want to try things when they come to Goa. It's not that good for product side for me. Like I'm from Nagpur, it would be slightly easier for me to do product operations in Nagpur just because I have that connection and network there already. So it really depends which one we want to scale in the first year.
Okay,
So we'll shift based on that.
okay, got it. Uh, and what kind of channels, or specifically social media channels or platforms, are you planning to use to attract a lot more couples to come on to your app? I mean, right now, a lot of things, as you said, events, meetups, and all of that. But apart from that, digitally, how are you planning to attract a lot more audience?
So I think our ideal audience would be somewhere around 24 to 35,
Mm-hmm.
38. So Instagram is going to be a really big channel for us. Facebook not so much. YouTube again, yes. LinkedIn not so much. So digitally, the two main things that we want to focus on are Instagram and YouTube.
Okay, okay. And have you started creating content around this already?
Yes, so we have our Insta channel that's been active for the last 2 to 3 months. The others are just coming up. So we just started LinkedIn, Facebook. Now we're planning to start YouTube
Okay,
also. But Insta's been active for a while.
okay, got it. Awesome. And how are you planning to grow your user base over the time? I mean, this is, I'm asking, I'm not sure if you will have a substantial answer right now, but say 2 to 3 years down the line, what are some other things that you want to implement to sustain these couples onto your platform, or to create that stickiness to be in the app itself?
So see two things like whenever you're starting like a D2C type of thing, especially
Mm-hmm.
an app, you don't want your growth to be dependent completely on marketing
Right.
because that way it's very unsustainable. So what we really want to do is have things that make shareability of the app organic in terms of the users only sharing some of it on their socials where people come to know about the app. Like for instance, Spotify does it really well with their the
Yeah,
yearly thing that they
wrapped.
do
Yeah.
where you so those kind of features now create that own word of mouth marketing.
Hmm.
So that is something that we are focusing on from the beginning. Like a lot of things that you do on your app, we make it in a way that you can directly share it on your social media and you can see the name of the app in that sort of thing. The second thing that we sort of want to do is focus on stickiness, like
Hmm.
you said. There are a lot of different ways of making an app like this sticky. Like Echo is, if you make it a storage of memories for that person
Hmm.
of their relationship, then switching it is slightly more difficult.
Hmm.
Or you make it more habit forming. So these are two very big like areas. that we are already thinking of how to sort of achieve it. I don't think we have a great answer to either of those problems in terms of like stickability and habit formation. But we realize that it's a very big challenge. And like for any app in this space, right, where network effects is not going to pick. Like for instance, like a dating
Hmm.
app, right? Network effects is huge. Like you become big, then it's a mode automatically. For us, that's not going to be the case because if I'm on the app, my user experience is not dependent on 100 million people being on the app,
Yeah.
right? It's only dependent on my app.
Yes.
So we understand that that benefit we are not going to get. So we will have to work extra hard to make it more habit forming to make sure that that stickiness is there. So you're already thinking of ways to do it. We have some vague ideas, but nothing concrete so far.
Okay.
But
Got it. Got it. Can you run me through the app? I mean, I'm not sure if you have one built out or in the process, but say if I am one of your, I want to explore your app. So, can you run me through the beginning till the post registration and getting into the app and everything? I just want to get a clear picture of
uh,
how it
so
works.
let's say you download the app from the App Store, then you add your partner to the app. So the first feature that we have is a shared widget feature. Basically, the idea is that how if you were living with someone, you would like write them
Hmm.
notes on sticky notes on the bed or on the fridge. So we're trying to digitize that experience, and that note goes on their home screen.
Okay.
So that is the first thing. The second feature that you would have is you will get like conversation prompts, like fun things that you could discuss with your partner. If sometimes you feel the conversation is getting a little bit
Hmm.
repetitive, or you want to talk but you don't know what to talk about. So we'll try to keep a balance of prompts that are like fun but also like meaningful. So you get like a whole experience with that. Like one example could be like describe your first meeting but only in emojis.
Okay.
Or if your relationship was an album, what were the 6 songs that you would put in your
Hmm.
mind? So like
Great.
prompts like that. And the third thing would be that we also want couples to do like quizzes together, like who knows who
Okay.
better, BuzzFeed type quizzes, personality quizzes. So all of that would also be there on the app. So these three things would be the things that we would start
Hmm.
with. And then we slowly have like a list of other features that we want to keep building on that.
Okay, okay. So I'm assuming, I think earlier you were mentioning about digital album and everything. So would you be including features like video calling with your partners, or like having the, say, Spotify Wrapped has how many minutes you've listened in the entire year. So here you can have something like how many minutes have you video called your partner, or say, I was thinking of something else. I think it slipped out of my mind. But say shared music or putting photos together, a lot of things. It's a very interesting idea actually. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, like this is the app where everyone has like
Yes.
ideas, and these are like these ideas like make sense. Having like a shared album, like a shared playlist, getting information about how much time you spend on the relationship. We definitely want to get into all of
Hmm.
this and do it in the next coming months or years. The reason why we don't want to exclusively start with it is because a lot of other apps are doing things like this in different ways. Like you can make a shared photo album already. You have shared playlist options. So we think these are great features, but these are value added features. Like you might not join an app for these features, but you would stay on the app for these features.
Okay.
So there'll be definitely things that we'll build out in the
Hmm.
future.
Hmm. And is there no other app that is doing something similar to Togetherly, or who's your biggest competitor right now?
So you have a lot of apps that are based for like couples and relationships in the Western
Hmm.
market, and they've usually sprung up in the last 3 to 5 years. So it's still a very nascent stage even there. Uh, but while these apps are available, they're not necessarily developed for the Indian market. And one of the reasons why I say that is a lot of these apps are based on problem solving, or they come from like a space, relationship therapists say this, relationship science says this, so you should do this in your relationship, which is great. Like I love that because like social science, but you that does not translate that well in Indian audience sometimes because you think that implies that there is a problem that you need to solve, and people usually don't think like that. So, which is why we're placing ourselves as an app that's more for fun,
Hmm.
for feeling connected, doing something like that, instead of being in a space that's trying to solve a problem or trying to sort of give you tips to do something in a better way.
Okay. And when you say problem solving, it's the problems within the relationship and you solve it through.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. I was slightly confused with the term. So, okay.
Hmm. So, like problem solving, as in, like do these five things for your relationship to be better.
Hmm.
So it comes from a place that you should do these five things as an exercise,
Okay.
which is great. Like there's nothing wrong in it.
Hmm.
But our experience with the user research has been that that is not the kind of communication they necessarily want
Hmm.
from an app. And the second thing is that the pricing tends to be a lot higher for like consumers.
Right.
So a lot of these apps tend to be like paid
Hmm.
apps where the subscription can start from like 2,500 to 4,000
Hmm.
per year. And people don't want to pay for content anymore,
Hmm. Yeah.
like or even pay for
Hmm.
features. Like no one's gonna pay to use
Hmm.
Instagram. So same way we think instead of making a revenue model be like paid apps where everything's paid, or we have like maybe one or two paid features like a dating app where like super like is paid or something like that. But primarily the app remains free, and it's always in a way that it's friendlier, it's more fun, it's not preachy, you should do this, relationship psychology says this. We take a lot of insights from there, but we don't voice it in that way.
Okay. Okay. And have you done from your user surveys or feedback, did you get any particular price point where you think you will price some of your features in the future?
Also, like, see, it's a very new uh, kind of category for a lot of users in India because they've not used anything similar
Mm-hmm.
at all. So they don't know what a price point would be for them
Hmm.
also, to be honest. One way that we are kind of benchmarking it for our own trials is to look at the dating industry because it's the most adjacent to ours, and see what kind of pricing is kind of working there and maybe like take inspiration. But very honestly, pricing is going to be like a experiment for
Hmm.
us. Like we have to try a couple of price points and see which one sort of makes sense.
Right. Got it. And if you had to say go back to your day one of just the day when you got the idea, actually, what was the when did you get this idea? What is the inspiration behind starting together? Was there any personal story attached to it or any observation that you did?
So there wasn't actually this one aha moment, to be very
Mm-hmm.
honest. I was trying to look at a lot of different kind of spaces that maybe I could create something in. So one was legal
Hmm.
tech, one was relationships, and then I just thought कि I'm more interested in
Right.
relationships wala
Hmm.
space, and I will be able to create a better product for this particular space. And I've seen a lot of my friends who are in relationships around me, who are in long distance. So that's always been a sort of like pain point for a lot of them. There's a lot of media out there which is like, long distance relationships don't
Hmm.
work, or it's extremely hard. So that felt like a good starting point because there's already some validation of that problem being there. But fundamentally, it comes from a place where I'm like, yeah, relationships are important. You have apps right now to connect with like thousands of people, but it really doesn't matter, right? Like, you really want to connect with those 8 to 10
Hmm.
people, and that just keeps getting harder as you like sort of age. So once you're out of college, even actually staying connected with your really close friends is a
Yeah.
struggle. So that's sort of where it was coming from. we're only starting out with romantic relationships because we thought it would be slightly easier. People tend to want to make a little bit more effort in romantic relationships than they tend to do in friendships. So that was just the way it shaped up the romantic relationship.
Also, I was thinking about this. So, for example, of course, I think the three features you were mentioning was about the sticky note, prompts, quizzes, and all of that. So, for example, say if someone decides to just do a lot of chatting on WhatsApp, do BuzzFeed quizzes, and just have some online prompts, and then get on a video call and then just talk it out. So, how do you think you'll attract them to your app? Or in, I mean, I know this is kind of a like repetitive question, but since we already have, or people are used to WhatsApp and other online platforms, why should they exactly come to your app and spend some time there?
Ah. So we are not trying to tell people that we are your primary communication
Hmm.
platform from now on. You should sort of stop using WhatsApp. We don't. Like, you know, just start using us for like 10-15 minutes. We are giving you the convenience of having a lot of features that are very centric to couples. And see, the issue is that you can do hundreds of things for couples by finding different things online. Like, there'll be one website for games, there'll be one website for quizzes, one for like, you know, like prompts. Like, there are so many things you can do, but usually the issue is that you don't think of them,
Hmm.
and finding them is an effort. So if you had a long day at work, you don't want to look at like 10 different websites and find 10 different experiences that you can do with your partner.
Hmm.
Having it in one
Right.
place is a great sort of benefit. And also with the widget feature now, what we've realized is form of communication matters. Like sending a message over WhatsApp versus sending a message on postcard.
Hmm.
It's a very different feel to it.
Yeah.
And that feel changes the way you experience that message. So we think with a widget, what happens is it gives you the opportunity to not go through all the notifications or go through all the messages that you get on WhatsApp. Just see the message of that one person who's very important.
Hmm.
So that adds like something new there.
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. So it's basically a one-stop platform for long-distance couples where they can connect and sustain the relationship for a period of time, right? Okay. So what is your long-term vision for this app, or for the company? And do you think you'll be working on this, say, for the next 5 to 10 years?
I, I hope so.
Okay.
So my vision is, see, like I said, you know, it comes from a place where we think the relationships are important, and we want to be that solution that helps you feel closer with all of those relationships. So we do want to slowly move to like friendships, because long distance friendships and just friendships in general as an adult are like very difficult to manage. So then that, and then maybe family. So those three things are the ones that we kind of want to focus on, those three relationships, and grow it slowly. So that's the idea. Like basically thinking of an app, you know, like how Instagram's for
Yeah.
everyone. It's an app for only close friends.
Okay.
So that's the kind of vision that we have for this app.
Got it. Awesome. Sounds very interesting, actually. So it's not out yet, right?
Not
Okay. Okay. And what was the best advice that anyone gave to you with regards to entrepreneurship?
I think one of the best advice that I've gotten is actually two. One is, you know, always build what you love and what you're interested in, because you're able to sort of deliver a lot better kind of solution in that space. Uh, and I think that really stuck with me because I was initially very confused if I wanted to build this relationship thing or if I wanted to build that legal
Hmm.
tech thing. Uh, the legal tech thing sounded more practical, but I always knew the relationship thing just was a lot more attractive to me.
Hmm.
So that kind of that advice at that point sort of helped me make the decision to build the relationship. And the second advice, like one of my friends says this, like play long-term games with long-term people.
Hmm.
So, like this app is a long-term game with people,
Right.
which is why we're being really selective with the team also. Like we're trying to get people, you know, who not only very good at what
Hmm.
we do, but we share a lot of values that we have for the company, the optimism, the attitude. We can build it. Like we build it, we try. If it fails, it fails. Like market will make it fail.
Hmm.
Like we will not fail because we didn't build the best product that we could. So that is the sort of thing that I keep in mind whenever I'm talking to someone to sort of work with on that, and that like feels nice.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Actually, my next question was that since you were confused with the two ideas that you had, how did you finally zero it down to relationships? Because I personally have a lot of ideas. Every day I get an idea, I keep writing about it. But zeroing it out to one idea is super hard. So I am also still figuring it out. So just wanted to know how did you figure it out? I mean, it was definitely attractive to work in the relationship space, but how did you let go of the legal tech and finally zero it down to uh, together?
So, like honestly, market research
Hmm.
helps because, like let's say an idea is very esoteric, it's very eccentric. So, what is really important for me at the same time is that it's not a hobby project, right? You want to make a business out of it. You want it to be sustainable, so it has to be profitable. Like there should be a need in the market for that kind of project or that kind of business. So, market research and user interviews really help. Then just like looking at, the business side of things. Can apps like this make money? If yes, how much money? What kind of user traction do you need for it? Will you be able to reach that traction? And like, let's say you have this much budget and all of that. So that sort of helped make the relationship things seem more practical, and that's when it was easier because it was obviously something I was interested in. I knew I could build out something that would be good. But knowing that people wanted, they might pay a little bit for it, we might be able to make it grow, then sort of like help me sort of close that loop and make that sort of decision.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. And my final question to you is there any advice that you'd like to give to budding entrepreneurs um, from your experience of being an entrepreneur?
I think finding a community really
Hmm.
helps. Like, it makes things go faster. It helps you think of a lot more ideas. And the community, I mean, community of people who are doing what you want to do in the future. So when I came here, right, like I was the first time founder in this accelerator, but there were people who had built like one or two companies before, and like I was just talking to them, and I'm like, okay, this person's like 2 years younger than me. He's built this very profitable, successful company. Then he's starting this. So it's not that difficult. Like I can do it. It doesn't sound that impossible. It's easier to do. So that I think really helps. Like just knowing that there are other people who are like you, not like some, person on Instagram, but someone who you can see is very relatable and has done what you want to do, makes the journey a lot more easier in your life.
You're right. Awesome. That's definitely a great advice because once you're part of a circle that is also trying to build something, depends whatever industry it could be, then it definitely motivates you
Yeah,
to accelerate your own things. Yeah.
definitely. I mean, small things go faster. Like, for instance, you need help with a particular thing,
Yeah.
and you're trying to find someone who will be able to do it. There are chances that someone in the community already knows someone who can do it for a much lesser price than you probably would spend like 1 week or 10 days to find. So all of those small things go very fast.
Right. Right. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vasundhara, for coming on board and for your time. I absolutely love what you're building and can't wait to see it all over social media and also probably use it sometime in the future. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming. And do you have anything to say to our audience or to me?
No, thank you so much. I love doing this podcast. It's my first
Okay.
podcast, so I'm really excited.
I, hmm,
Uh,
sorry, go ahead.
and yeah, please follow us on Instagram. Like I've been doing content creation for the last 3 months, and it's very hard. I have newfound respect for all content creators. So please, if you like what we are building, do follow us on Instagram.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and have a great day ahead. And thank you so much for everyone who stayed till the till this point of time in podcast. And do subscribe. And also, Vasundhara, this is episode one of the podcast. So this is your first podcast and episode one of this series. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
awesome. Thank you so much,
Amazing.
and have a great day ahead.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Can you just wait for a second?